All right, so right now, everybody needs to grab their progress workbook and a pencil. We are going to turn to page 112. Remember, at any time, if this goes too fast, just pause the video. This story is called Bringing Hope to the Valley. We are going to be working on it the next 3 days. The genre is historical fiction, and that means that it took place in the past. Now, these stories might have real people and real events in them, but they are not true in every detail. Okay, so paragraph 1. "I'm sorry, ma'am," the farmer said. He shook his head. "The weather's too bad. Your carriages will never get to Valley Forge." Polly watched as her aunt, Martha Washington, stepped out of her carriage to look. Polly peered out to see too. Past the village, the deep snow was a blanket over the road. Even the trees on either side were buried in white snow up to their lowest branches. The carriages would never make it. "You're right, they won't," Martha said. She wasn't giving up. Instead, she looked determined. "We need a sleigh." In a few hours, Polly, Martha, and her party of servants, as well as all of the food, clothing, cloth, and medicine they had been able to bring from Mount Vernon, were crowded into a hired sleigh that took them smoothly over the deep snow. Martha smiled at Polly in satisfaction as she explained that she would not be kept away from Valley Forge. Although many women joined their husbands in the army camps, Martha had a special job. It was not just her husband who needed her, but his soldiers as well. Are you thinking about who her husband is? Hint, hint, Martha Washington. Okay, page 113, paragraph 4. Polly had faced hard times herself since the American Revolution had begun. But she knew that the Valley Forge camp was facing terrible hardships, worse than anything she had yet experienced. As the sleigh sped over the snow, she took out the letter her aunt had received from one of the soldiers. She read it again, holding it tightly in her gloved hand to keep it from blowing away. "Dear ma'am, you were so kind to me when I was injured in the camp last winter. I know you care about the soldiers. I must tell you that things are very bad here in Valley Forge. We live in crowded huts with hardly anything to eat. We have no shoes and only thin blankets, and it is very cold. Commander Washington says that Congress is ignoring us, but I know you won't. Please do what you can, ma'am. If you cannot bring us food, clothes, or medicine, at least bring us some hope. Your servant, Robert Finney." All right, so let's go back to page 112 and look at the site evidence A. Many stories have a third-person point of view, which means that the narrator is not a character in the story. Box the names of 2 characters whom this narrator tells you about. So I'm going to have you do that. So you're going to box 2 characters. B, except for dialogue, a third-person narrator does not use pronouns such as I, me, or my. In paragraph 3, circle 3 pronouns that help you know that this story has a third-person point of view. What do you learn about these characters? So I'm going to have you do this one. So paragraph 3, you're going to circle 3 pronouns that tells you it's third person. Okay, over to 113, cite evidence C. In a story with a first-person point of view, the narrator is part of the story. A first-person narrator uses pronouns such as I, me, my, we, us, and our. Paragraph 5 has a first-person point of view. Circle 3 pronouns that help you know this. So you're going to do that. Paragraph 5, you're going to circle 3 pronouns. Then let's look at D. A first-person point of view is often a good way to show a character's feelings. Underline the name of the character who wrote the letter. How would you describe his feelings? So we're going to do D. You're going to underline the name of the character who wrote the letter. Put a star here. And in a complete sentence, I want you to describe his feelings for me. 1 sentence. We will discuss all of this Thursday when you come to school. We'll work on the other 2 parts Tuesday and Wednesday. And remind me to tell you about Mount Vernon. I visited there several times. It should be on your bucket list. Hopefully it will be when we're done talking about it. And be thinking,